Argentina, world champions, continental success, a Finalissima trophy in between. They owe it all to one man, but it isn't who you think it is. It's the other Lionel. Not Messi, Scaloni. He took a nation from failure after failure to becoming champions of the world. This is the story of how a rookie who was labelled not good enough by his country's biggest legend flipped the switch and made Argentina the best team in the world. But the story doesn't start there. It started long before Scaloni even got into the picture. 2014. Argentina had just experienced the biggest heartbreak in the country's history since the turn of the century. They'd made it to the final of the World Cup, but that picture of Messi with silver in one hand was the result. Mario Götze's goal decided it, despite Lionel Messi winning the Golden Boot, despite Sergio Romero finishing the tournament with a joint high 4 clean sheets. Alejandro Sabella and Messi's Argentina failed to win the big one, but there was hope. Hope that in the years that followed, Argentina would eventually win a trophy. That hope came in the form of the 2015 Copa América. Messi had a quiet tournament after scoring just once in the opening game against Paraguay, but with 3 assists against the same team in the semi-finals. Argentina cruised to a 6-1 win and advanced to the final to face Chile. The result? More heartbreak. Losing on penalties was tough, but if 2015 was bad, 2016 was about to get even worse. The same competition, the Copa América Centenario. This time Messi had balled so hard he had 5 goals en route to leading Argentina to back-to-back Copa América finals, and it's almost as if football was writing the perfect script. The chance to win the Copa América against the same team they'd lost to the previous year. It went to penalties again, but the same thing happened again. This time it was so bad that Messi couldn't take it. After that, Messi decided he'd had enough. He retired from the national team, and in turn, the media and some of the fans showed him the other side.
Lionel Messi has announced he's to retire from international football. He was seen in tears in the dugout afterwards.
Messi reversed his decision in time for the 2018 World Cup. But honestly, nothing changed. As a collective, Argentina failed to impress. A 1-1 draw to Iceland on the opening day after a Messi penalty miss. A 3-0 defeat to Croatia, and it wasn't until they managed a late winner against Nigeria to advance to the round of 16 in second place. The opposition? A French team with a young talent that exposed every flaw with that Argentine side. The 4-3 scoreline suggests a closer game, but honestly, Argentina was miles off. Physically, that team was old. They had the 3rd highest age of teams in the World Cup that year with 29.4. Physically, it was clear the team depended on Messi. From Sabella to Martino and Sampaoli, nothing changed. That 2018 defeat was where it was rock bottom for Argentina. The team was a mess. Sampaoli was gone as head coach. At 31, it seemed like Messi had missed his golden chance to win the World Cup. But amidst all that chaos, the Argentine FA made a shocking decision. The new head coach of Argentina, Lionel Scaloni. See, he wasn't new to coaching at the national team setup. He was Sampaoli's assistant for the 2018 World Cup and almost became a natural selection for a caretaker manager while the FA looked for a permanent fix. So it became both Scaloni and Pablo Aimar as the caretaker managers until the end of 2019, when Scaloni was appointed as the permanent head coach. This decision angered a couple of fans, including a national legend who decided to speak out. Maradona mocked the newly appointed coach openly. He didn't think Scaloni was the right fit for the job, and to be fair, judging by his initial results in charge of Argentina, Maradona had every reason to speak out. In his first 11 games as head coach, he'd already used 40 different players. It didn't seem like he had a system, a plan. It felt like it was going to be a continuation of the same problems even after Argentina finished 3rd at the Copa América of 2019. But what people failed to realise was that Scaloni was still in his early days. He was still getting to terms with the role, and once he settled, he came up with a plan. Scaloni was ready to succeed, and the first step was to change the system. To be effective, Scaloni knew he needed to win, and so the team he put in 2021 had one job: to win no matter how dirty it looked. 3 wins and a draw in the 4 group stage games to seal it. In the first 3 games, they only scored a goal in each match. It wasn't about playing pretty football. What Scaloni had done was build a team that could be effective in getting goals in crucial moments and seeing out results. Messi came to the party with a combined 6 goal contributions in 2 games against Bolivia in the final group stage game and Ecuador in the quarter-finals. But the real talking point was in the semis, where one of Scaloni's new changes to the team came big. There was an 8-year gap between both call-ups for Emi Martinez, and yet in either one he still hadn't debuted for Argentina. Coming into the 2021 Copa América, Scaloni decided he was going to make Emi Martinez his first choice goalkeeper, and in the group stages, he was already repaying the faith his manager had shown in him. He'd already saved a penalty against Vidal, even though he scored the rebound, for Chile in the group stage. But in the semis, the team needed him in the shootout versus Colombia, and it's safe to say he more than delivered. It wasn't just the saves, it was how he made them. He looked very intimidating in goal. Combine his excellent shot stopping and his ability from 12 yards, and he just sent Argentina to a third Copa América final in 6 years. This time they were up against their eternal rivals on enemy turf. Brazil, the Maracanã. No fans, but it was still as intimidating. Messi was the headline, a chance for him to win a trophy for the first time with Argentina. But for Scaloni, this was arguably the biggest night of his coaching career. A night that also proved he was right, because what he was about to do was the path to success. Argentina won, but the goal didn't come from Messi, it came from Di Maria instead. See, Scaloni had built a team just like Maradona, Sabella, Gerardo Martino, that had Messi at the centre. But the difference with Scaloni's tactic was that this team worked in two ways. To help Messi on the pitch and to be able to perform with or without him. That Messi was at the centre didn't mean the team completely depended on him. Still, the Copa América, Argentina's first title in 28 years, was Scaloni's vindication. He'd now proved he was the man for the job, but the best was yet to come. Scaloni didn't just feel like a coach to this team and the fans, he felt like the unifying factor. He quietly began a revolution. Instead of established regulars, he went for players with heart and grit, the likes of Rodrigo de Paul, Romero and Emi Martinez. Players who weren't just talented, but also gave everything on the pitch when they played for the national team. The introduction later of players like Álvarez and McAllister, two talents who featured prominently in the first team for Scaloni, became ideal examples of how he wanted to mix the team with experience and youth. For Messi, Scaloni wasn't just a coach to him, he was like a brother. At the same time, he struck a fine balance between having a team that could get the best out of Messi and also having a team which Messi could contribute to. He'd built a unit that meant Messi, for the first time in almost a decade, didn't have to carry the weight of the national team alone. It was a collective responsibility they all shared with Messi as the leader. Lionel Scaloni had changed Argentina. After the Copa América win, they suddenly became different beasts. They followed that up in early 2022 with a dominating performance at Wembley. They beat Italy in the Finalissima, except it didn't feel for many parts like a final. 3-0 could have been more. Argentina completely dominated the European champions, and this game was the perfect example of the team Scaloni had built. Messi was the man of the match without scoring. He had just 1 assist in the 3 goals scored on the night, but in truth, Messi played incredible football. The point is, players like Di Maria and Lautaro Martinez did the damage. Dybala came on to add a third. They all stepped up, they made the job easier, and this was a trend that continued late into the year. He was building a team with grit and determination, but didn't mean Scaloni's Argentina lacked a tactical identity. The team was fluid and effective, depending on the opposition. Sometimes it was a 4-4-2 and sometimes a 4-3-3 shape. Either way, the idea was to play aggressive, defend better and make the most of the chances created. To do this, he needed a mobile midfield, hence the introduction of players like Rodrigo de Paul and Leandro Paredes. To force the mistakes up top, he needed a target hungry for goals to make a mark, Lautaro Martinez. Messi also wasn't lazing around. Once the press was applied and they had the ball, Messi had the muscle memory and vision to find the space and pick up dangerous positions. Defensively, they were a unit. It all added up, and it had to as well. If the Copa América was a big task, they had an even bigger one. 2022, Qatar, the FIFA World Cup. The holy grail for Argentina and world football. They hadn't won it since 1986, but for the first time in years, they entered this one with a realistic chance as one of the favourites. For context, this team was on a 36-game unbeaten run. Messi was still performing, Di Maria was still a star. Younger talents like Enzo Fernandez had joined the team. The mix was good, and so heading into the opening game against Saudi Arabia, Argentina wasn't just expected to win. They were expected to dominate, but even to date, you'd struggle to believe that scoreline after. Argentina lost 2-1 to Saudi Arabia on the opening day. Suddenly, that feeling that seemed to have died started creeping in again. It wasn't just a shock result, the pressure was on Argentina to qualify. The difference? In years past, this team, including Messi, would have crumbled. This wasn't the same team anymore. As crazy as this sounds, it's almost as if Scaloni had planned for this to happen, almost as if he needed the team to lose to send a gentle reminder that they always had to be on guard against any opposition. Now, it was a question of fighting their way back after that defeat. They couldn't afford any more slip-ups. Scaloni also knew he had to tweak the system as well. The next game against Mexico suddenly became do or die for the Albiceleste, and the team turned up in style. Messi scored, but also on the score sheet was one of Scaloni's youngest additions, Enzo Fernandez. Big goal. Argentina now knew they had to repeat the same trick in the final group stage game versus Poland, and they did. Goals from McAllister and Álvarez were the difference. They were into the round of 16 as group winners. Got past Australia in what later turned out to be a nervy 2-1 win, but where the drama was at was in the quarter-finals. Argentina versus the Netherlands, a World Cup box office special. For Messi and Di Maria, it was personal, but as the match went on, for the rest of the team, it was the same feeling as well. 2-2 after extra time, but this is merely scratching the surface. This game had everything, from Messi's incredible vision to set up Molina for the first goal, to his celebration after the second. The Dutch scored twice after the 80th minute mark to force it to 2-2. Penalties after extra time. Argentina needed their hero from a year back, and he stepped up again. 2 big saves. Scaloni's Argentina was in the semi-final of the World Cup. Scaloni was calm despite the chaotic game. He knew when and where to act. In the semi-finals against Croatia, he decided to continue with Álvarez ahead of Lautaro, and it paid off big time. Álvarez scored a brace after Messi's opener to give Argentina a 3-0 win, and more importantly send them to the World Cup final. The performance was the stuff of champions. Dominant, effective, mature. They completely outclassed the same Croatian team that had outclassed them 4 years earlier and made it to semi-finals after beating the mighty Brazil. The story was almost complete for Scaloni, but that final turn, it was a spectacle. It came down to the match against France. 90 minutes, potentially 30 more and penalties. The only thing stopping Scaloni from becoming the first coach since Carlos Bilardo to win the World Cup with Argentina. His team was well prepared, and in that final they executed the game plan to perfection. Messi's penalty, Di Maria's second. 2 quick-fire goals from Argentina, and they were just under 15 minutes away from becoming world champions until France roared back in style. Mbappe grabbed a lifeline from the spot, and barely a minute later, he stunned the world with this volley. It was 2-2, and that's how it stayed until the end of regulation time. Into extra time, and Scaloni knew this final wasn't necessarily about tactics. He needed more. He needed his team to dig and find luck, and it seemed like they had done. Messi put them in front again, big game, and he was taking centre stage. But Mbappe wasn't done either. He was determined to have a say in that final, and once again, from the spot he levelled it at 3-3. Seconds away from the end, Scaloni nearly saw the dream fade away. Emi Martinez came up with the greatest save of his career to force the game to penalties. Here, it just felt like Argentina had the advantage, and they proved it. After this save and a miss from French side, Gonzalo Montiel was one kick away from ending it. The nation held its breath. Messi looked into the heavens and said a prayer. Scaloni had eyes on the game, but in truth, he was on the edge of either a possible mental breakdown or euphoria. It all depended on one kick of the ball. Montiel stepped up and boom, Scaloni's Argentina had become world champions. The usually calm Scaloni was in tears. Even he struggled to believe it had happened. He'd gone from a question choice at Argentina to becoming a legend with this team. Messi finally got to lift the World Cup. But this time it wasn't just about him. Scaloni, the man once mocked by Maradona, was now the man that brought the World Cup home.